So, good day. I'm Sheena Ashley Dipalik. So, today I'm going to report the first three communicable disease prevention and control. So, first is the tuberculosis. So, ano nga ba yung tuberculosis? So, siguro familiar na kayo sa sakit na ito. So, yung tuberculosis or TB is a contagious bacterial infection that primarily affects our lungs. So, yung main target ng tuberculosis na sakit is yung lungs natin. It is caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So, ano nga ba yung mode of transmission ng tuberculosis? So, airborne or droplet method through coughing, singing, or sneezing. So, napansin ko lang, yung TB patient and non-TB patient, dapat hindi sila mag-share ng utensils kasi dra usually maka-transfer ng sakit. So, next is direct invasion through mucous membranes or breaks in the skin may occur but it extremely rare. Period of communicability. The period of communicability for tuberculosis is the time during which an infected person can spread the bacteria to others. So, this period typically begins 2 to 3 weeks after infection and continues until effective treatment is initiated. Susceptibility and resistance. The most hazardous period for development of clinical disease is the first 6 to 12 months after infection. Highest risks are children below 3 years old and also to the people who is immunosuppressed or mahina yung immune system nila, underweight, undernourished persons with diabetes or gastroectomies, and among substance abusers. So, ano nga ba yung signs and symptoms ng sakit na tuberculosis? So, cough of 2 weeks or more than. So, tama. Usually, yung mga TB patient is nag-uubo sila like more than 1 week na, gano'n. So, ayun. So, fever, paglagnat, chest or back pains, not referable to any musculoskeletal disorders, hemoptysis, or recurrent blood streak, sputum, significant weight loss, and other signs and symptoms such as sweating, fatigue, body malaise, and shortness of breath. So, ano nga ba yung prevention method sa sakit na tuberculosis? So, first is yung pag-vaccinate like BCG, Bacille, Calmette, Guerin, vaccination of newborn, infant, grade 1 school entrants, yung mga elementary students, educate the public in mode of transmission and methods. So bilang nurses, dapat alam natin yung pagpalaganap or pagpaano ng prevention controls ng sakit na ito. And then yung importance of early diagnosis, improve social conditions, then make available medical, laboratory, and X-ray facilities for examination of patients, contacts, and suspects, and last is provide public health nursing and outreach services. So, dapat tayo mga nurses is marunong na talaga na promote ng health, ganon. So, next is leprosy. So, aka Hansen's disease is a chronic infectious disease caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium leprae. So, it primarily affects our skin, peripheral nerves, upper respiratory tract, the eyes, and the testes of the voice. So, ano nga ba yung mode of transmission ng leprosy? So, through inhalation of droplet, spray from coughing and sneezing of untreated leprosy patient, prolonged skin-to-skin contact, ganon. So, susceptibility, so likely to be affected are the children, especially yung 12 years old below are more susceptible. So, ano nga ba yung signs and symptoms? So, for early, so we have 2, early and late. So, first is the early. So change in skin color, either reddish or white, loss of sensation of the skin lesion, decrease, loss of sweating and hair growth over the lesion, thickened and or painful nerves, muscle weakness or paralysis of extremities, pain and redness of the eyes, nasal obstruction or bleeding and ulcers that do not heal. So for the late, madarosis is the loss of eyebrow, lagophthalmos, inability to close eyelids, clawing of fingers and toes, contractures, sinking of the nose bridge, gynecomastia, enlargement of the breast in males, chronic ulcers. So diagnosis, slit skin smear or SSS, an optional procedure done only when clinical diagnosis is doubtful. So ano nga ba yung prevention method dito sa leprosy na sakit? So avoidance of prolonged skin-to-skin contact, especially with a lepromatous case. Children should avoid close contact with active, untreated leprosy case. So, dapat if wala ka sa sakit, so mag-avoid ka sa mga taong affected sa sakit na leprosy para hindi ka mahawaan kasi yung mode of transmission nito is skin-to-skin contact. BCG vaccination, good personal hygiene, so important talaga na may good hygiene tayo para mabuti. Adequate nutrition, health education. WHO classification of leprosy, paucibacillary, tuberculoid, and indeterminate, non-infectious types, duration of treatment 6 to 9 months, multibacillary, lepromatous, and borderline infectious types, duration of treatment 24 to 30 months. Okay. So last is the schistosomiasis, also known as bilharziasis or snail fever. This is an infection caused by trematodes or flukes. These schistosomes, also called blood flukes, are parasitic flatworms that belong to the genus Schistosoma. Parasites are creatures who live in or on another organism or sa host and get their food from the host. This has a negative effect on the host. So, ano nga ba yung mode of transmission nito? So, the Oncomycina quadrasi, a snail which serves as an intermediate host of the larva of the causative agent, Miracidum, for 2 months until it evolves in its most effective stage called the Cercaria. Next is Cercaria penetrates the skin of man who comes in contact with water, so in swimming, bathing, washing, and wading. So it reaches the human liver via the lymphatic system where the mature copulate and lay eggs. So some of the eggs travel to the bladder or intestines and are passed into the uterine or stool. So feces or urine of infected person carry the Miracidium. So the signs and symptoms of schistosomiasis are the diarrhea, bloody stools or yung pagdugo ng ating mga poop, enlargement of the abdomen, splenomegaly, weakness, anemia, inflamed liver. Okay, so the prevention method of schistosomiasis is dispose of feces and urine so that viable eggs will not reach bodies of fresh water containing intermediate snails host, reduce snail habitats by removing vegetation or by draining and filling. Treat snail breeding sites which molluscides. Prevent exposure to contaminated water. Example is yung use of water boots after a brief or accidental water exposure. Immediately wash the area with soap and water. So provide water for drinking, bathing, and washing clothes from sources free of cercaria. Treatment for killing cercariae include water treatment with iodine or chlorine or the use of paper filters. Treat patients in endemic areas to prevent disease progression and to reduce transmission by reducing egg passage. So management, drug of choice, praziquantel, biltricide. Last is to motivate people in endemic areas to have annual stool examination.
So first is the filaries. So ano nga ba ang filaries? So ang filaries ay isang sakit na dulot ng mga bulate na tinatawag na nematodes. At kilala rin sa tawag na Wuchereria bancrofti, Brugrai malayi at Brugrai thimori. Ito ay nakatira sa mga lymphatic vessels at lymph nodes ng ating katawan. Ang mga bulating ito ay kumakalat sa pamamagitan ng kagat na lamok, na particularly ang tawag sa mga lamok na ito ay Aedes foelicilius. So paano ba kumakalat ang mga filaries? So like I said, nakukuha natin ang sakit na ito sa pamamagitan ng kagat ng lamok na nagdadala ng mga microfilaria. So, ang mga microfilaria ay ang mga batang bulate na nakatira sa dugo ng tao. Kapag nakagat ng lamok ang isang taong may filaris, ang mga microfilaria ay pumapasok sa katawan ng lamok. So, sa loob ng lamok, ang mga microfilaria ay nagiging infective larvae. Kapag nakagat ng lamok na may infective larvae, ang isang tao, ang mga larvae ay pumapasok sa katawan ng tao at naglalakbay sa lymphatic system. So, ano nga ba ang mga sintomas ng filaris? So, maraming tao ang hindi nagpapakita ng anumang sintomas ng filaris. Ang mga sintomas ay karaniwang lumilitaw pagkatapos ng ilang taon or months ang inaabot bago makikita yung mga sintomas. So, may tatlong symptoms ang filaries. So, first is the asymptomatic stage. Ito yung ang mga tao sa yugdong ito ay walang mga sintomas, ngunit meron silang mga microfilaria sa kanilang dugo. So, next is the acute stage. So, ang mga tao sa yugdong ito ay maaaring magkaroon ng pamamaga ng lymph nodes at pamamaga ng lymphatic vessels. Then, the last is the chronic stage. Ang mga tao sa yugdong ito ay maaaring magkaroon ng hydrocollosis, pamamaga ng scrotum, lymphedema, pamamaga ng mga braso at binti, elephantiasis, paglaki at pagkapal ng balat sa mga braso, binti, scrotum at dibdib. So, paano ba nadadiagnose ang filaris? So, ang filaris ay maaaring madiagnose sa pamamagitan ng physical examination, pagsusuri sa mga sintomas at physical na pagbabago ng katawan. Next is the history taking, pagtatanong sa pasyente tungkol sa kanilang kasaysayan ng paglalakbay o pagkaalantad ng mga lamok. Lastly is the laboratory examination na tinatawag na nocturnal blood examination at immunochromatographic test. So, paano maiiwasan ang filaris? So, maiiwasan ang filaris sa pamamagitan ng vector control or environmental sanitation, spraying with mosquito insecticide, protection sa mga taong nakatira sa mga endemic area, paggamit ng mga mosquito net, paggamit ng long sleeve, long pants or sock, paglalagay ng mga insect repellents, paglalagay ng mga screens sa mga bahay, at lastly is edukasyon, pagtuturo sa mga tao tungkol sa about sa filaris at mga paraan upang maiwasan ito. So, paano ginagamot ang mga filaris? So, ang filaris ay maaaring gamutin sa pamamagitan ng drug of choice, mass treatment, surgical treatment. Sa surgical treatment, ito yung mga taong may mga malalang sintomas tulad ng elephantiasis at hydrocolai na maaring kailangan ng operahan. Lastly is the supportive care. Ang mga pasyente ay dapat mag-ingat sa kanilang kalinisan at kumuha ng mga antibiotic o antifungal kung mayroon silang mga infeksyon. Next is the dengue hemorrhage fever. So, ano nga ba ang dengue hemorrhage fever? So, ang dengue hemorrhage fever ay kilala rin bilang H fever. Ito ay isang seryosong sakit na dala ng lamok na maaring magdulot ng malubhang komplikasyon at pwede itong ikamatay ng isang tao. Ito rin ay sanhi ng dengue virus na ililipat ng Aedes aegypti mosquito. So, ano nga ba ang sanhi ng pagkalat ng dengue hemorrhage fever? So, ang DHF ay sanhi ng apat na uri ng dengue virus, which is yung DenV, DenV2, DenV3, DenV4. Ang pangunahing paraan ng pagkalat ay ang pamamagitan ng kagat ng isang nahawang Aedes aegypti mosquito. Ang lamok na ito ay isang lamok na nangangagat sa araw na nagpaparami sa mga nakatayong tubig tulad ng mga prorera, mga gulong na hindi na ginagamit at mga walang laman na lalagyan. So, kailan ba dumadami itong dengue hemorrhage fever or kailan ba dumadami ang kaso nito? So, ang dengue hemorrhage fever ay nangyayari sa buong taon. Ngunit karaniwang nagkakaroon ng epidemya sa panahon ng tag-ulan, lalo na sa pagitan ng Hunyo at November. Ang buwan na may pinakamataas ng kaso ng dengue hemorrhage fever ay September at October. So, ano nga ba ang mga sintomas ng dengue hemorrhage fever? So, ang mga sintomas ng dengue hemorrhage fever ay acute febrile stage. Ang febrile o invasive stage ay nagsimula ng biglaan na may mataas na lagnat. Sinasamahan ng pananakit ng tiyan at pananakit ng ulo. Next is toxic o hemorrhage stage. Ang yugtong ito ay nailalarawan sa pagbaba ng temperatura ng katawan, matinding pananakit ng tiyan, patuloy na pagsusuka at madalas na pagdurugo mula sa gastrointestinal tract. So, lastly, the convalescent or recovery stage. Nagsisimula ng gumaling ang pasyente na may pangkalahatang pamumula at mga lugar na nagiging maputi. Bumabalik ang gana at nagiging matatag ang presyon ng dugo. So, pagsusuri sa diagnosis. So, ang tourniquet test, Ramplin lead test ay isang karaniwang tool na diagnosis para sa dengue hemorrhage fever. Ang pagsusuri ito ay nagsasangkot ng pagpapalaki ng isang blood pressure cuff sa isang tiyak na presyon sa loob ng 5 minuto. So, ang iba pang mga pagsusuri sa diagnosis na ito ay ang complete blood count, coagulation test, urinary test, liver test, dengue serological test. Then, ano nga ba ang mga paraan para maiwasan or para makontrol itong dengue hemorrhage na ito? So, ang pag-iwas sa DHF ay higit na nakasalalay sa pagkontrol ng populasyon ng lamok at protekta sa sarili mula sa mga kagat ng lamok. Ang mga pangunahing paraan ng pag-iwas ay ang ihiwalay ang pasyente upang maiwasan ang karagdagang pagkalat ng virus. Ang pasyente ay dapat ihiwalay sa mas mabuti sa ilalim ng isang lambat na may insecticide. So, next is alisin ang vector. Kasama dito ang pagsira sa mga lugar na nagpaparami ng lamok sa pamamagitan ng pagpapalit ng tubig at pagsuksong ng mga gilid ng mga prarera linggo-linggo. So, iwasan din ang masyadong maraming nakasabit na damit sa loob ng bahay. Then, residual na spraying with insecticide. So, ang pamamahala ng DHF HF ay nakatuon sa supportive care at pagkontrol ng mga sintomas. Ang paggamot ay kinabibilangan ng supportive and symptomatic treatment. So, ano nga ba ito? So, para sa lagnat at pananakit ng kalamnan, inirerekomenda ang paracetamol. Then, para naman sa pananakit ng ulo, ang mga analgesics ay binibigay, ngunit ang aspirin ay dapat iwasan dahil maaari itong magpataas ng panganib ng pagdurugo. Then, mabilis na pagpapalit ng mga likido sa katawan. Ito ay mahalagang paraan sa pagkontrol ng dehydration ng isang malaking panganib na kadahilanan ng dengue hemorrhage fever. Then, malapit na pagmamasid sa mga vital sign. Oral dehydration solution. So, ano nga ba ang mga dapat hakbang na pangangalaga? So, para sa pagdurugo, So, next is the measles or tinatawag na tigdas. So, paano ba kumakalat ang tigdas? So, ang tigdas ay kumakalat sa pamamagitan ng airborne o drop spread. Ang virus ay maaring kumalat sa pamamagitan ng hangin o mga droplets mula sa ilong at lalamunan ng isang taong may tigdas. Next is direct contact. Ang pagkakadikit ng isang taong may tigdas ay maaari ring magdulot ng impeksyon. Lastly is the indirect contact. Ang paghawak sa mga bagay na kontaminado ng huhog o laway ng mga isang taong may tigdas tulad ng mga laruan o mga damit na ay maaari ring magdulot ng impeksyon. So, gaano nga ba katagal bago magpakita ng sintomas ang tigdas? So, ang isang taong may tigdas ay maaring makahawas sa iba ng 9 days simula ng mga sintomas ng sipon o ubo. Maaari rin silang makahawas sa loob ng 4 days bago or 5 days pagkatapos lumitaw ang mga sintomas. So, sino nga ba ang mga madaling makahawa ng tigdas? So, lahat ng tao ay madaling makahawa ng tigdas kung hindi pa sila nagkakaroon ng sakit o na bakunahan. So, di ba ang mga sanggol ay ipinanganak sa mga ina na nagkakaroon ng tigdas bago sila manganak ay immune sa unang ilang buwan ng kanilang buhay. Ang permanenteng kaligtasan ay karaniwang nakuha pagkatapos magkaroon ng tigdas. Mga palatandaan or symptoms ng tigdas. Ang tigdas ay karaniwang nagsisimula bilang isang upper respiratory condition na may mga na may mga lagnat. Wait lang. So, ano nga ba ang mga palatandaan or symptoms ng tigdas? So, ang tigdas ay karaniwang nagsisimula bilang isang upper respiratory condition. Yung lagnat, sipon, ubo, pamumula ng mata, so lastly, madali kang mapagod. Yun. So, paano ba natin maiiwasan ang tigdas? So, ang pinakamabisang paraan upang maiwasan ang tigdas ay ang pagbabakuna or yung tinatawag nating mumps of rubella, MMR. So, kailangan lahat tayo may nabakunahan nito. So, next is mga paraan upang maiwasan ang tigdas. Pag-iwas sa mga taong may mga tigdas. So, iwasan natin ang pagkakadikit sa mga taong may tigdas. Pag-iwas sa mga lugar na may tigdas. So, iwasan natin ang mga lugar na may mataas na panganib ng tigdas. Paglilinis ng kamay. Hugasan ng mga kamay ng madalas gamit ang sabon at tubig. Pagtatakip ng bibig at ilong. So, takpan ang bibig at ilong kapag umuubo ka or bumabahing. So, paano nga ba ang naggagamot ang measles? So, walang particular na gamot para sa measles. Ang paggamot ay nakatuon sa pagpapagaan ng mga sintomas at pag-iwas sa mga komplikasyon. So, yung komplikasyon. pagpapahinga, pag-inom ng maraming tubig, paggamit ng gamot sa lagnat, pagprotekta sa mga mata, at pag-iwas sa mga malalamig na lugar.
Good day, sir. I am Princess Saleha of Del Sanjaran, and I will be discussing what is chickenpox or varicella. What are those mode of transmissions? Airborne and direct contact of droplets spread of secretions from the respiratory tract of an infected person. Second, indirectly through articles freshly sold by discharges of infected person. And then lesions of skin are of little consequence, and then scabs themselves are not infective. And then what are the incubation period, which is 2 to 3 weeks or commonly 13 to 17 days. And then what is the period of communicability? Not more than 1 day before the more than 6 days after appearance of the first crop of vesicles. And then what are those signs and symptoms? First is sudden onset of slight fever, and then eruption of maculopapular rash for a few hours, and then vesicular rash for 3 to 4 days, and then and leaves a granular scrub, and then lesion are more uncovered that exposed parts of the body and may appear on scalp and mucous membranes of the upper respiratory tract. And then what are those prevention and control methods? First is isolate the infected person and avoid contact with infected person, and then concurrent disinfection of throat and nose discharges, and then exclusion from school for 1 week after eruption first appears. Next is we have mumps or epidemic parotitis. What is the mode of transmission of this illness? First is direct contact with the infected person, and then contact with articles freshly sold with secretions from the nasopharynx. And then what is the incubation period? It is lasts from 12 to 26 days or usually 18 days. And then what is the period of communicability? It begins before the glands and swallowing remains for an unknown length of time, but it is presumed to last as long as any localized glandular swelling remains. And then what are those signs and symptoms? First, we may feel a painful swelling in front of ear, angle of jaws down to the neck, and then fever, malaise, loss of appetite, and the orchitis or the swelling of one or both testicles in the boys. And then what are those treatment or the nursing measures? First, for the prophylactic, mumps, measles, rubella vaccine or the MMR vaccine. And then for the fever, we need to take aspirin, alcohol rub, tepid sponge bath or the TSB. For the orchitis, remain in bed until all fever and swelling have been absent for at least 4 days because of the danger of glandular complication. And then support scrotum with a properly fitted sensory pillow or a sling between the thighs. Use of sedatives or analgesic to relieve pain. And then use of steroids to reduce inflammation, and immediate oral dose 300 to 400 mg of cortisone followed by 100 mg per every 6 hours. And then for the comfort of patient, we have to give them bed rest with toilet privileges, hot and cold application on the swollen jaws to alleviate discomfort, and then daily bath should be given. What is the preventive or the control measures? For the disinfection, the usual methods of procedure in the care of contaminated articles should be used, and then the usual method of cleaning a room or unit should be used. The room should be aired for 6 to 8 hours, and then for the home and community aspects, it is desirable to exclude diagnosed cases from school until swelling has completely subsided. And then what are those active immunization with mumps vaccine? For isolation, we have the mumps cases should be isolated to prevent spread to susceptible person. So lastly, we have the diphtheria. What is the mode of transmission? Direct contact with the infected person, and then contact with article soiled with discharges and secretions of an infected person, and then milk has served as a vehicle. And then, what is the incubation period? It is usually 2 to 5 days or occasionally longer. And then, what is the period of communicability? Variable until virulent bacilli has disappeared from secretion and lesions. It is usually 2 weeks and seldom more than 4 weeks. And what are those signs and symptoms? Acute febrile infection of the tonsils, throat, nose, larynx, and then the pseudomembrane, a wound patch or patches of grayish membrane, and then nasal discharges and excoriated nostrils, laryngeal obstruction, and the dry metallic cough. So what are those prevention and control methods? First, active immunization of all infants, which is 6 weeks, and then children with 3 doses of DPT, and then pasteurization of milk, education of parents, proper disposal of articles sold with nose and throat discharges of the infected person. And then what is the nursing measures? Mainly supportive comfort of patient, bed rest, nutrition and hydration, and isolate the patient, and use of antibiotics as ordered to eradicate microorganism and prevent carrier state. And lastly, we have to take penicillin or erythromycin. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Laika Saludin. So I will be discussing pertussis. So what is pertussis? Pertussis or the whooping cough is a highly contagious respiratory infection characterized by uncontrollable and violent coughing that may lead in difficulty of breathing. So the causative agent or the bacteria causing pertussis are Haemophilus pertussis, Bordet bacillus, Bordetella pertussis, or pertussis bacillus. So the mode of transmission is direct spread through discharges from laryngeal and bronchial mucous membrane of infected person. So nakakahawa siya through the droplets or discharge from infected person like yung laway nila or sipon. Or if nag-ubo yung infected person, then natalsikan ka ng mga droplets, may possible na mahahawa ka. So next is crowding and close association with patient facilitate. So example nito, if family kayo then or nasa isang bahay lang, then may isang member na may pertussis, may possible na sunod-sunod kayong magka-ubo or magka-pertussis. Next is incubation period, 7 to 10 days but not exceeding 21 days. Period of communicability, 7 days after exposure to 3 weeks after onset of typical paroxysmal. So, the symptoms typically appear 7 to 10 days after exposure of infected person. Or pag lumabas na yung one of the sign which is the paroxysmal cough or yung repetitive or yung paulit-ulit na ubo. Next is the signs and symptoms. So, present as an acute infection of the respiratory tract, begin as an ordinary cold but increase in severity. So, nagsisimula siya sa simpleng lamig lang but habang tumatagal, lumalala siya if hindi siya naagapan. Explosive outbursts of 5 to 10 rapid coughs. Or so, ito yung non-stop na ubo na feel mo is luluha na yung mata mo, then maiiyak ka na lang sa sobrang uncomfortable, lalo na pag na-trigger or na-provoke through crying, drinking, or eating. So, post-tussive vomiting, or pwede rin na magsuka ka, or pwede rin magsuka ka dito sa pertussis, if may pertussis ka. Suffusion of face or popping of eyeballs, yun na nga. Luluha talaga yung mata mo pag parang luluha talaga yung feel mo, luluha talaga yung mata mo sa pag-ubo. Ito, sa grabing difficult na or uncomfortable talaga na ubo. Yun. This is the stages of pertussis. So, the first stage is catarrhal stage, 1 to 2 weeks. Fever and coryza. So, dito naman is magkakaranas ka ng lalagnatin ka or lalamigin. Next is paroxysmal stage, 2 to 6 weeks. Dito naman is lumalala na yung nararamdaman mo, unlike sa first stage, which is nagkukos na siya ng violent coughing if hindi siya naagapan. Next is convalescent stage. Dito naman is nasa recovery period ka na or nagre-return ka na sa normal na dati na health mo na walang pertussis. Next is the prevention methods. We have DPT immunization, isolation of patient until after 3 weeks from the appearance of the paroxysmal cough. So, ito yung pag lumabas na yung signs or symptoms, which is the first or yung pinaka signs and symptoms talaga ng pertussis is paroxysmal cough or yung paulit-ulit na ubo. Need mo nang i-isolate for at least 3 weeks if nag-a-appear na yung paroxysmal cough. Next is nursing care. So, we have supportive care, bed rest, humidified oxygen as ordered, avoid excitement, smoke, dust, and sudden temperature change. Special attention is given to diet if patient vomits after cough paroxysm. Teach parents how to pick up the infant or the client during paroxysmal cough, giving abdominal support. So next is the tetanus. The tetanus is a serious bacterial infection that affects nervous system, which is caused by tetanus bacillus or Clostridium tetani, which is commonly found in soil, street dust, animal or human feces, and also occurs through contamination of unhealed stump of the umbilical cord in infants or unhealed wound of adults. So the bacteria enter the body through a break in the skin, or if ever may mga sugat tayo or mga paso sa ating katawan. So, if ever na may mga sugat or paso tayo sa katawan, linisin natin ng mabuti or much better na lagyan natin ng gauze para hindi siya mas mapasukan ng madumi na nagpo-cause ng infection. Then, next is the incubation period varies from 3 days to 1 month or more, falling between 7 and 14 days in high proportion of cases. Signs and symptoms. So, irritability, headache, and fever. So, magkaka-experience ka dito na irritable ka, masakit yung ulo, or mas worse is lalagnatin ka. Painful spasm of the muscle resulting in lockjaw. So, once kasi na makapasok na yung bacteria sa ating katawan, nagre-release ito ng toxin or called as tetanus plasmin, which is ginablock niya yung nerve signals from spinal cord to the muscle, and the blockage is nagko-cause ng pain in muscle spasm, particularly sa jaw and neck, kaya ito natatawag na lockjaw. And also yung tetanus is nakakamatay talaga because of tonic spasm or yung namumulikat yung muscles mo or si stiff yung lahat ng muscle mo sa katawan, kaya ito nakakamatay. Then, prevention methods. DPT immunization for infants and children, tetanus toxoid immunization for adults, aseptic methods and techniques during the child delivery, proper umbilical stump care for infants and wound care for adults. So, if ever sa delivery room, kailangan natin i-disinfect lahat ng mga instrument na gagamitin natin during delivery, especially yung mga cord clamp or yung mga scissors na gagamitin natin sa pag-cut ng cord. Then next is the nursing care. Prevent convulsion by keeping patient away from noise, bright lights, loud noises. Administer prescribed medication by the physician. Next is the influenza. Influenza, or commonly known as flu, and also contagious or also highly contagious respiratory infection, which is caused by influenza viruses. So mode of transmission: direct contact through droplet transmission of discharges from the mouth and nose of infected person, contact of articles freshly soiled by discharge of infected person. So these viruses spread easily from person to person through tiny droplets released by infected person when they cough, sneezes, and also talks. Then incubation period limited to 3 days from clinical onset. The sign and symptoms: abrupt onset of fever lasting for 1 to 6 days. So dito is lalagnatin ka, usually naglalas lang ito ng 1 to 6 days. Then also you may experience chills, aches and pains in the back and limbs. Ito yung sasakit yung mga katawan mo. Then respiratory symptoms include coryza, sore throat, and cough. Ito yung lalamigin ka, sasakit yung lalamunan mo, and also uubuin ka din. So prevention and control methods: education of the public as to sanitary hazard from spitting, sneezing, and coughing. So i-avoid na kung saan-saan ka lang dumudura, and also if ever na uubuin ka or mag-sneeze, pwede mong takpan yung bunganga mo para ma-prevent yung para hindi ka makahawa sa ibang tao. Then avoid use of common towels, glasses, eating utensils, active immunization with influenza vaccine, isolate patient during the acute stage. So next is the nursing care. Resist bed rest from the beginning of the attack. Keep patient warm and free from the drops in bed. Keep patient away from person suffering from respiratory tract infection to prevent pneumonia. Then TSB for fever and use of the proper technique as a teaching tool to a responsible member of the family. Then teach and demonstrate proper sneezing and cough technique by the use of paper tissue or cover the mouth and nose during cough and sneezes. Then teach the burning method or disposal contamination and sneezes. Contaminated tissues and clothing soiled with throat and nose discharges should be boiled for 30 minutes before laundering.
I'm Aishali Paperless from Group 4 Reporters, and my report today is about Cholera L2. Cholera is a bacterial disease spread through contaminated water and food. Causative agent is Vibrio L2. Mode of transmission: paano ba ito natra-transmit or paano ba ito nakukuha? Through food and water contaminated with vomitus or stool of the patient or carrier sa mga gamit ng mga patient na may ganito ng sakit. Incubation period from few hours to 5 days, usually 3 days. Is a time between mga ilang oras ba or 5 days na expose yung mga symptom. It's about a few hours or 5 days. Period of communicability 7 to 14 hours. Onset occasionally 2 to 3 months. May be transferred directly or indirectly from the infected person to another person, from an infected animal to human, and from the infected person to animal. Pwede siyang matransmit sa mga hayop. Sign of symptoms. Ano ba yung mga symptoms nito? It's sudden onset of acute profuse colorless diarrhea, vomiting pag susuka, severe dehydration, pagiging mabilis mauhaw, dehydrated. Muscular cramps, it's an uncontrollable, painful spasms of muscles. Cyanosis, a bluish color in the skin, lips, or nails bed caused by shortage of oxygen in blood. Collapsed vein in severe cases. Okay. Prevention and control method. Paano ba natin ma-prevent ito? Paano ba natin makokontrol ang ma-prevent natin yung ganitong sakit? Bring patient to hospital for proper insulation and prompt, competent, and medical care. Other general preventive measures are the same as those of typhoid and dysentery. All contact of the cases should submit themselves for stool examination and be treated accordingly if found of discovered positive. Nursing care, ano bang nursing care na kailangan natin dito? Continue and increase frequency of breastfeeding. Give additional fluid. Coconut water is said to be rich in potassium. Kailangan ng katawan ng maraming potassium kapag ganito. One of the electrolyte found in chlorelic stool. Make the patient as comfortable as possible. Give ORS according to the required basis on age. Next is the typhoid fever. Causative agent, Salmonella typhosa. Ano bang Salmonella typhosa? Is a type of bacteria that cause typhoid fever. Is a life-threatening infection. Next is the typhoid bacillus. It's a bacterium from Salmonella typhi. Mode of transmission, paano ba ito natatransmit? Source of infection are feces in urine of infected person. Direct or indirect contact with the patient or carrier. Principal vehicles are food and water. Contamination is usually by hand of carriers, kamay. Flies are vectors. Period of communicability as long as the typhoid bacilli appear in excrete, usually from appearance of prodromal symptoms. Early sign of symptom is the from first week through convalescence. Sign of symptoms, ano ba yung mga symptoms nito? Continued fever, tuloy-tuloy na lagnat, milase, anorexia, slow pulse, pagbagay ng pulso, involvement of the lymphoid tissue, especially from ulceration of the Peyer's patches, enlargement of the spleen, rose spot on trunk, diarrhea. Prevention mode, paano ba ma-prevent, paano ba maiiwasan yung ganitong sakit? Same preventive control measures as dysentery. Education of a general public, particularly the food handlers. Nursing cares. Anong care ba kailangan natin dito? Paano natin makonito? Nursing cares. Demonstrate to the family how to be bedside care such as TSP, feeding changing of bed lengths, use of bedpan, and mouth care. Any bleeding from the sacrum, blood in stool, sudden abdominal pain, restlessness, feeling from the temperature should be reported at once to the doctor, or the patient should be brought to the hospital at once. Take vital sign and teach family member how to take and record the same. Is bacillary dysentery, sigilosis. Sigilosis is a major cause of bacillary dysentery worldwide. The most common symptoms of sigilosis are mucus, bloody diarrhea, fever, lagnat, abdominal pain, pagsakit ng tiyan, and tenesmus. Causative agent is Shigella or tinatawag na sedentary bacillus. There are four main groups. Mode of transmission, paano ba natatransmit yung ganitong sakit? Paano ba nakuha yung ganitong sakit? Eating contaminated food or drinking contaminated water or milk. By hand and mouth transfer of contaminated materials. Sa mga duming mga gamit. Ngayon, by flies, mga langaw, objective soils with faces of the patient or carrier. Incubation period, gaano katagal bago mararamdaman yung ganitong sakit? 1 day, usually less than 4 days. Period of communicability, during acute infection during microorganism is absent from feces, usually within a few weeks even without specified therapy. A few individuals become carrier for a 2 years for a year or 2, rarely long. Sign of symptoms, ano ba yung mga symptoms nito? Diarrhea, fever, lagnat, pagkakaroon ng lagnat, tenemos, or persistent ineffectual spasms of the rectum or bladder. In severe cases, bladder and mucus stool. Prevention method, paano ba maiwasan yung ganitong sakit? Sanitary disposal of human feces, sanitary supervision of processing preparation or serves of food, particularly those eating raw, mga hilaw na karne. Etiquette, prevention for safe washing facility. Fly control or screening of protection of food against flies contamination, iwasan yung para maiwasan yung pagdapon ng mga magduming langaw sa pagkain, ganun. Protection of purified water supplies and contraction of safety privy. Control of infected individual, contact, and environment. Insulation of patient during acute illness. Pag-insulate ng patient pag may ganitong sakit ha, para hindi maiwasan yung pagkalat ng sakit. Nursing care. Hospitalization if facilities are available. Teach and demonstrate to the family how to make the patient comfortable. Check on understanding of the family on treatment prescribed and how it is carried to necessary guidance if indicated. Diet should be a low fiber, plenty of fluid, easily digestible food.
Good day everyone, I am Angelica C. Artilio. So my topic is all about the soil-transmitted helminthiasis. So we have 3 major causes of intestinal parasites. We have Ascaris lumbricoides, Thicoris trichyura, and hookworm. So the intestinal parasite live as long as 5 years, passing out as much as 240,000 eggs per day with unsanitary disposal of human stools. So, nagadevelop ang egg sa mga unsanitary soil, sa mga tubig na masyado nang hindi na nagagalaw or matagal nang nakababad. Pwedeng doon mabuo ang mga worm. We can prevent this infection by good personal hygiene through washing of hands before eating and after using the toilet. Next, we need to keeping fingernails clean and short. Use of footwear or slippers, shoes, or etc. Bago tayo pumasok sa CR, dapat meron tayong tsinelas. The next is washing fruits and vegetables very well. Dahil maaari nating makain yung mga parasites na nanggaling sa mga gulay or sa mga prutas na binili natin sa labas. Next is advocate use of sanitary toilets. So, kailangan nating linisan ng maayos ang loob ng CR dahil madaming bacteria or mga parasites na pwede nating makuha sa loob ng CR. Next, sanitary disposal of refuse and garbage. Kailangan nating itapon yung mga basura na alam nating madumi. Kailangan nating itapon agad, hindi na natin itipon yung mga basura na pwedeng mabulok. The next is, in the areas where water is not safe for drinking. So, kailangan nating turuan yung mga family kung paano i-boil ng maayos yung tubig na inumin nila. Kailangan nating i-boil yung tubig 2 to 3 minutes from boiling point with chlorinate. The next one, signs and symptoms is after consult RH staff or kailangan nating magpa-medical treatment para maiwasan yung mga sakit na pwede nating makuha sa mga contaminated area o sa mga lugar na hindi na masyadong nalilinisan. So, paragangliasis is acquired through ingestion of raw or undercooked crabs, or crayfish is usually a lung infection. So, never eat raw fish water crabs or crayfish cooked crabs. It can travel should be advised to avoid traditional meals containing undercooked freshwater crustaceans. So, ang paragangliasis, ito yung parasite na nakukuha sa mga hilaw na pagkain, lalo na sa mga hilaw na isda or sa mga undercooked crabs. So, sino dito yung mahilig kumain ng kinilaw? Alam nyo ba na it contains a lot of bacteria and parasite? Kaya highly recommended na kumain ng mga nalutong pagkain para maiwasan yung mga lung infection or sa iba pang sakit na maaari nating makuha mula dito. Maaari din nating makuha ang disease na ito sa mga unsanitary utensils, especially yung mga plato, yung mga kutsara na mga ginagamit sa hapagkainan. Dapat masanitary ito ng maayos para maiwasan natin yung mga infections na pwede nating makuha sa mga kinakain natin or sa mga ginagamit natin sa hapagkainan. The sign and symptoms: cough of long duration, hepatitis or recurrent, blood-streaked sputum, or cheek back pain. Ito yung pwedeng makuha natin dito sa disease na to. So, next is, we can prevent control method by treatment of infected person, disinfection, or sanitary disposal of excreta. So, kailangan nating masanitary lahat ng mga pwede nating masubo or makain sa or for example, yung mga plato, kutsara, kailangan nating malinisan yan ng maayos para maiwasan yung mga parasite na pwede nating makain. The next is anti-mosaic campaign, education of the population, avoid eating infected foods, avoid bathing in infected water, cook crustaceans very well. Kailangan talaga nating lutuin ng maayos yung mga kinakain natin at kailangan din nating maiwasan na maligo sa mga maduduming tubig. For an example, sa kanal, sa mga lining, kasi kadamihan doon madaming mga bata na naliligo. Pwede silang makakuha ng parasite na maaari nilang ikapahamak. Then next is kailangan natin educate yung mga tao sa mga pollution para maiwasan yung mga infection na nanggaling sa mga hangin. So next is the hepatitis A. Is an inflammation of the liver that can cause mild to severe illness. The hepatitis A or virus or HAV is transmitted through ingestion of contaminated food and water or through direct contact with an infectious person. Almost everyone recovers fully from hepatitis A while a long life immunity. So we have a different causes by virus, contaminated food, water, unsafe sex, infected blood transfusion, and sharing needles. So we can prevent this by preventable through vaccination or Hepa A/B, safe sex, proper hygiene, avoiding shared needles, and consuming clean food, water. So, maaari nating makuha ito sa mga infected person, tulad ng paghalik, pag-sex, at sa mga paghiram ng gamit na maaari nating ikahawa ng hepatitis B. So, nakukuha din ito sa mga maduduming kinakain natin at sa mga iniinom nating sa mga iniinom nating madudumi. So, here are the common symptoms of hepatitis. So, first is fatigue, feeling extremely tired or weak, fever or highly body temperature, nausea and vomiting, stomach upset and vomiting, abdominal pain or discomfort or tenderness in the abdominal area. Next is a dark urine. Urine appears darker than usual. Pale stools. Stools appear pale or clay colored. Lose appetite or wala nang ganang pagkain. Or hindi na nakaka-feel ng gutom. weight loss, unexplained weight loss, yellowing of skin and eyes, or icterus, headache, or frequent or severe headaches. So the symptoms of hepatitis appear 2 to 6 weeks after infections. So symptoms may not appear until liver damage occur or month, year after infections. When to seek medical attention, severe symptoms, persistence of worsening symptoms, yellowing of skin, eyes, abdominal tenderness, vomiting blood. So, ito yung possible na meron kang hepatitis A infection or virus sa iyong katawan. So, kailangan nating magpa-check up agad para hindi na lumala yung virus na mga nakuha natin sa mga sa tao, sa nakakain natin, ganun. We can also get this disease from the utensils na hindi masyadong sanitary or hindi masyadong nahugasan. Especially yung mga kutsara or yung mga plato na hindi masyadong nahugasan. Consult a healthcare professional immediately. So that's all.
Hello everyone, I'm Lovely Macy Sarmiento and my topic is all about scabies, anthrax, and meningococcemia. So first is the scabies. The causative agent is H. mite Sarcops scabbei. So the mode of transmission is the female parasite burrows beneath the epidermis to lay her eggs and set up an intense irritation. It is transmitted by direct contact with infected individuals or their clothing and bedding. So, close crowding such as in tenement districts and lack of personal cleanliness are predisposing causes. So, the incubation period is it occurs within 24 hours from original contract. The length of time required for the H. mite to burrow on infected skin and lay ova. So, the signs of and symptoms of scabies is itching, and next is when secondarily infected, the skin may feel hot and burning, but this is a minor discomfort. Next is when large areas are involved and secondary infection is severe. There will be possible signs of fever, headache, and malaise. The last is secondary dermatitis is also common. Prevention and control methods is we must apply the good personal hygiene, daily bath, washing the hands before and after eating and after using the toilet, cutting of fingernails. Also, regular changing of clean clothing, bedding and towels will also apply. Next is eating the right kind of food like rich in vitamin A and C, such as leafy vegetable and plenty of fruits and fluids. Next is keeping the house clean. And last is improving the sanitation of the surroundings. So the treatment of scabies is the whole family should be examined before undertaking treatments as long as member of the family remains infected. Other members will get infected. Treatment is limited entirely to the skin. So the use na cleaner is benzyl benzoyl emulsion. 2 and has more rapid effect. Also, effective din ang quail ointment to treat the scabies. So second is the anthrax. Other names of anthrax is malignant pustule, malignant edema, Bowes-Sorter disease, and Rugg-Fecker disease. The causative agent is Bacillus anthracis. So the mode of transmission of anthrax is infection by contact with tissues of animals, possibly by biting flies that had partially fed on such animals. Contaminated hair, wool, hides, or products made from them, such as drums or brushes. Also, contact with soil associated with infected animals or contaminated bone meal used in gardening. So the incubation period of anthrax is a few hours to 7 days. Most cases occur within 48 hours of exposure. So the signs and symptoms of anthrax is cutaneous form by itching in the exposed part of the skin. Papule appears in the site. Papule becomes a vesicle. Vesicle evolves into depressed black echoes. Lesion is not painful. Septicemia and death could result if untreated. Case fatality rate 5 to 20%. Next is a pulmonary form, gastrointestinal form, like vomiting and bloody stools. Next is the prevention and control methods of anthrax. So first is immunize high-risk person with cell-free vaccine prepared from a culture and filtrate containing the protection antigen. Next is educate employees handling potentially contaminated articles about modes of anthrax transmission, care of skin, abrasions, and personal cleanliness. Next is control dust and proper ventilation. Thoroughly wash with disinfected or sterile hair. Next is do not sell the hides of animals exposed to anthrax, nor use their carcasses as food or feed supplements. Next is control influence and trade ways of rendering plants handling potentially infected animals, and those from factories that manufacture products from hair, wool, bones, and hides likely to be contaminated. So the last one is the meningococcemia. The causative agent is Neisseria meningitidis. So the modes of transmission is direct contact with respiratory droplets from nose to and throat of infected persons. So the signs and symptoms is high-grade fever for the first 24 hours, weakness, joint muscle pain, hemorrhagic rash progressing from few petechiae to widespread purpura and ecchymosis. Next is irritation like headache, nausea, vomiting, stiff neck, seizure or convulsions. The incubation period is 2 to 10 days with an average of 3 to 4 days. So we can prevent meningococcemia, and control is by respiratory isolation of patients for the first 24 hours upon admission to prevent exposure of hospital staff. Next is hospital personnel. Upon entry to meningococcemia room are required to wear masks, gloves, goggles, and gown, especially when doing endotracheal intubation. Next is the public should be educated to avoid overcrowded places to reduce the risk of exposure, particularly among the young and the elderly. Hospital personnel are early at risk even when caring for patients. Thus, only those with intimate exposure to nasopharyngeal secretion, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, or unprotected exposure during endotracheal intubation warrants chemoprophylaxis. So the nursing care of meningococcemia is the patient must be given chemoprophylaxis before discharge and to assure the elimination of meningococcus in the nasopharynx. And observe infection control, like proper washing of hands with soap and water and other respiratory isolation, especially for the first 24 hours upon admission. Next is practice the gown technique, including mask, goggles, gloves, especially when doing ET intubation. Bear in mind other isolation techniques like non-sharing of utensils, cups, lipsticks, cigarettes, and other water bottles, dishes, glasses. Also, don't use musical instruments with mouthpieces, mouth guards, or anything else that has been in the mouth of the infected person. So, health teachings regarding the importance of healthy diet, regular exercise, adequate sleep and rest, and no alcohol and cigarette smoking. And the last one is advise the importance of checkup after 1 week discharge, then monthly for those with complication until improve and contract training.
Paralytic shellfish poisoning. Causative agent, single cold organism called dinoflagellates, less than 30 kinds out of about 2,000 varieties, become poisonous after heavy rainfall preceded by prolonged summer, commonly referred to as plankton. Paramedium bahamis compressum, the organism that caused red tide in the seas around Manila Bay, Samar, Bataan, and Zambales. Mode of transmission, ingestion of raw or inadequately cooked seafood, usually by valve, shellfish or mollusks during red tide season. Excubation period varies from about 30 minutes to several hours after ingestion of poisonous shellfish. Signs and symptoms: numbness of the face, especially around the mouth, vomiting and dizziness, headache, tingling sensation, paresthesia, and eventually paralysis of hands and feet, floating sensation and weakness, rapid pulse, ataxia, dysphagia, total muscle paralysis with respiratory arrest, and did occur in several cases. Chance of survival. Ang mga biktima ng lason na nakaligtas sa first 12 hours pagkatapos ng paglunok ng nakakalason na shellfish ay may mas malaking pagkakataong mabuhay. Drinking pure coconut milk weakens the toxic effect of red tide and sodium bicarbonate solution. 25 grams in 1/2 glass of water may be taken. Drinking of coconut milk and sodium bicarbonate solution is advised during the early stage of poisoning only. If given during the late stage, they may take the condition of the patients worse. Leptospirosis. Other names: well disease, mud fever, trans fever, flood fever, spirochetal jaundice, Japanese 7 days fever, causative agent. Leptospira interrogans. Mode of transmission. Ang daga ang pangunahing host ng leptospirosis, kasama ang pigs, baka, kuneho at iba pang ligaw na hayop na maaari ding maging silbing reservoir host transmission kung sa pamamagitan ng pagkadikit ng balat, lalo na ang mga bukas na sugat na may tubig, basang lupa o mga halaman na kontaminado ng ihi ng nahawang host. Rabies. Causative agent, rhabdovirus of the genus Lyssavirus. Mode of transmission, 2 kinds, urban or canine rabies, transmitted by dogs, and salviatic rabies, transmitted by wild animals, bats, cats, other livestock, transmitted through bites of a rabid animal whose saliva has the virus. Virus could also be introduced into fresh breaks in the skin, although very rare. Incubation period, 2 to 8 weeks. It can be as long as a year or several years, depending on the severity of the wounds. Side of the wound as to distance from the brain, amount of virus introduced, and protection provided by clotting. Period of communicability. In dogs and cats, for 3 to 10 days before onset of clinical sign, rarely over 3 days, and throughout the duration of the disease. Sign and symptoms. Sense of apprehension, sakit ng ulo, lagnat, sensory change, near sight animal bite, spasm of muscle or deglutition on attempts to swallow, hydrophobia, fear of water, paralysis, delirium, and convulsions. Without medical intervention,
Rabies victim usually lasts only 2 to 6 days. Death is often due to respiratory paralysis. So hanggang 2 to 6 days lang, pwede na silang mamatay. Prevention methods. Dog immunized at 3 months of age and every year thereafter. Never allow pets to roam the streets. Huwag silang hayang gumala sa kalsada, and take care of pet, but feed them regularly with adequate food. Provide them with clean sleeping quarters. So alagaan ng mabuti, pakainin at paliguan. Pagkainin ng adequate food. Pet's action is the responsibility of the owner. Management. The wound must be immediately and thoroughly washed with soap and water. Antiseptics such as providone, iodine, or alcohol may be applied. The patient may be given antibiotics and anti-tetanus. So, ang sugat ay dapat na agad at lubusang hugasan ng sabon at tubig. Maaaring maglagay ng antiseptics tulad ng iodine o alcohol. Ang mga pasyente ay maaaring bigyan ng antibiotics at anti-tetanus. Ang paggamot pagkatapos ng pagkakalantad ay binibigay sa taong nalantad sa rabies. Sa passive immunization, ang proseso ng pagbibigay ng antibodies sa mga tao na may kagat sa ulo at liig or multiple single deep bites. Kumonsulta sa isang veteranyo o sinanay ng mga tauhan upang obserbahan ang iyong alagang hayop sa loob ng 14 days para sa mga palatandaan ng rabies.